This is a film about nuts. It's a film about nuts. That's right, like peanuts and pecans, pistachios too. Brown nuts, Brazil nuts, and the cashew. It's nuts. That's what I said. It's a film about nuts. It's a film about trade and economics. It's about nuts. It's a film about globalization. Nuts are grown all over the world, touching every life in every nation. Nuts.
Starring Mr. Peanut, the luckiest nut in the world, and the rest of his gang. Hit it, boys!
Just in case you forgot what this film is about, this is a film about nuts.
Okay, let's get started. This is a bowl of nuts, and some of them have had a bumpy ride. But not me, 'cause I'm an American peanut. I was born in Georgia, in the deep south, with a silver spoon sticking out of my mouth. I sure was surprised when I realized I was the luckiest nut in the world. I traveled around all over the globe, and I was pretty shocked at what I seen. All around there were nuts struggling to survive,
While he was living the American dream.
Our politicians tell us that trade liberalization is going to make things better. But what exactly is trade liberalization?
Liberalisation is the process of becoming more liberal or free. Trade liberalisation is therefore making trade more free by removing trade restrictions.
Well, I suppose in theory it sounds pretty good. We all like freedom. But from what I've seen, things aren't exactly working out as planned.
We're gonna tell you some stories that'll make it clear why these problems won't disappear.
By making trade free indiscriminately,
It's only making things worse. It's not a blessing but a curse.
and it's happening more every year. This is a groundnut.
He's a groundnut,
Groundnuts are part of the peanut family.
cousin of the peanut.
This groundnut originated in Senegal, a country in West Africa.
Groundnuts have been grown in West Africa for centuries.
They were brought to Africa by the Portuguese in the 16th century. And later on,
Groundnuts replaced slavery as Senegal's biggest industry.
and by the time Senegal got their independence in 1960, groundnuts were their main export crop.
By specialising in the thing that a country does best, and then trading for the other things it needs, it maximises its productivity.
But like many newly independent African states,
Senegal lacked the resources to invest in their development,
they needed cash.
so they got some help from the World Bank.
We're satisfied as to your credit and income, and we're glad to make you the loan.
The World Bank encouraged Senegal to focus on exports to earn the cash to repay this debt.
And Senegal's main export was groundnuts.
But then, in the 80s, something happened that no one had counted on. Because groundnuts appeared to be a lucrative and stable export crop, other developing countries began to focus on producing groundnuts as a means of earning foreign currency. As more and more countries were producing groundnuts, more groundnuts were on the market, and so the price fell.
It's the law of supply and demand. When supply goes up without a corresponding increase in demand, the price will go down.
With the bottom falling out of the groundnut market, Senegal was getting less for their nuts.
And they had to borrow even more money just to keep their head above water. Facing bankruptcy, Senegal implemented an economic reform program with the aid of World Bank economists. This program followed the economic thinking of the time and called for
Trade liberalisation,
Which begins with the removal of tariffs and duties.
so taxes on imports of foreign nuts were removed.
then privatisation.
reducing government involvement in industry.
The state-run groundnut company Sonacost, which had guaranteed prices to the farmers, was partially privatized.
And cuts in public spending.
They implemented the new strategy for 10 years, but the situation only got worse.
As the price of nuts went down, the debt got out of control.
And today, Senegal is officially one of the world's most indebted nations.
They spend more on paying their debt than they do on health and education combined.
Yes, it's time for a story about me. And what a different story it is. American peanuts are one of the most protected cash crops in the world. The U.S. government invested heavily in the peanut trade to set up all the equipment. And to this day, the industry is heavily subsidized. Peanut farmers get a financial bonus from the state for every ton of nuts they produce, which allows them to sell the nuts at a lower price. So it's the 21st century, and what do we find? We're the world's largest producer of the edible kind, with 50,000 peanut farms in the U.S.
Today peanuts are big business.
Adding $4 billion to the American economy. Peanut farmers have nothing to fear.
'Cause the average American eats 6 pounds of peanuts every year.
Unlike Senegal, we didn't need a foreign loan. We could set up our infrastructure all on our own with no debts to repay. We're doing okay with a steady demand for nuts right here at home. Unlike Mozambique, I'm protected by tariffs, and though our competitors may not like it, we got the best lawyers that money can buy, and if there's a case against us, we can fight it. And unlike Bolivia, the United States is a highly industrialized nation. So when nuts like myself arrive on the shelf, we're of the best possible specification. And if one of our trading partners makes up a policy that we're not overly keen on, the threat of sanctions usually helps to resolve any difference of opinion. So I tried my best to tell it like it is, 'cause it doesn't have to be like this. It keeps me up at night, 'cause it don't seem right, but I'm the luckiest nut in the world.